this is the time to welcome our keynote speaker for day 2, who probably doesn't require any introduction. He is none other than Mr. Nandan Nilekani, who is the co-founder and chairman of Infosys Technologies Limited. He was the founding chairman of UIDAI, all of us we popularly known as Aadhar, and he was holding the rank of a cabinet minister from 2009 to 2014. Most recently, Nandan has co-founded and is chairman of a not-for-profit effort to create a learner-centric technology-based platform to improve basic literacy and numeracy for millions of children. He was born in Bengaluru and holds bachelor degree from IIT Bombay. Fortune magazine conferred him with Asia's Businessman of the Year 2003. In 2005, he received the prestigious Joseph Schumpeter Prize for Innovative Services in Economic Sciences and Politics. In 2006, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan, a very prestigious award all of us we know, and he was also named Businessman of the Year by Forbes Asia. Time magazine listed him as one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2006 and 2009. Foreign Policy magazine listed him as one of the top 100 global thinkers in 2010. He won the Economist Social and Economic Innovation Award for his leadership of India's Unique Identification Initiative, Aadhar, in 2017. We can go on and on and on, but some of the most important contribution he has made, he has written a book, Imagining India, and co-authored his second book with Viral Shah, Rebooting India, Realizing a Billion Aspirations. So without getting into much details for his introduction, who doesn't require, I request Mr. Nandan Nilekani to give his keynote address. Over to Mr. Nilekani.
Thank you, Joy, and it's really a great pleasure and honor to be addressing this CAHOTECH event. And I've been asked to speak on my experiences with building the Aadhar platform and how some of the learnings from that can be applied to the upcoming digital transformation of the entire Indian healthcare sector. I agree with all of you that the Indian healthcare sector is at a transformative moment of digital transformation. And COVID has brought home to us not only the importance of healthcare, but the fact that digital use of digital in healthcare is very, very important. Now, the first thing is that when we think about national level healthcare digital strategies, we have to think at population scale, which means that how do we know if you have a population of 1.3 to 1.4 billion people, we have to think of something which addresses all of them. So everybody should be able to participate in this population scale. So scale becomes very important, and the digital technology required should therefore be highly scalable and very, very low cost. When we built the Aadhar platform, we built it at the lowest cost in the world per ID, and we were able to scale it up very quickly to do 1.3 billion people on the Aadhar platform, as well as the fact that it could do billions of authentications and KYCs every year. So this kind of scalability is very important in healthcare because everybody who is participating in the healthcare in a digital fashion will have to interact digitally with the system. You have to record the health records in the system. You should be able to port those around. All billions of records will be involved. So scale is very important in any of these things. The second thing, as I said, it has to be low cost. When we developed the Aadhar system, it cost us around $1 per person to enroll and to issue the card. And that's why the government was able to complete the project in $1 or $2 billion. But it has got huge savings because of the direct benefit transfer and other things. So making this at low cost is very important. Now, we're very fortunate that today we have the National Digital Health Mission and we have the NHA, the National Health Authority, which has been entrusted the task of making this mission work. And that's very, very important. And the NHA is headed by Dr. Ram Sevak Sharma, who is the CEO. And Ram Sevak Sharma was the CEO of UIDAI or the Aadhar system when I was the chairman, and subsequently he was the chairman of TRAI. And he has vast experience in these kind of population scale systems. So we're very fortunate that at this juncture in the health industry, we have a person who understands both technology and government leading the National Digital Health Mission charge. A good example of what we have seen in the last few months is what's happened with COVID and digital certificates. India has, thanks to all of you and the great work done by our vaccine manufacturers, our hospitals, our doctors, our nurses, we now have a highly scalable vaccination architecture where several million people, recently we did as many as 8 million people in one day. And we have crossed more than 500 vaccinations with over 100 million or 10 crore people having both the vaccinations. Now, there is a platform that is supporting this, the COVID platform that NHA has developed. Again, it follows the same principles of low cost, highly scalable, etc. And that has played a big role in coordinating the activities of vaccinating a billion people. And it's very, very important. And behind that is also a digital vaccination certificate built in an open source system called DVOC. And India is the only country in the world which has actually issued digital vaccination certificates at this scale. And the good thing about this vaccination certificate is it can be digital, it can be printed, it can be stored on your phone, it can be stored in your DigiLocker on the cloud. It has a QR code, it can be authenticated and can be used anywhere. So if example, if you're boarding a plane and if they want to check whether you have been fully vaccinated, you have to just show them a physical or digital copy of your certificate and they can verify whether it's a real certificate or not. Now, this is really very important because in many parts of the world, certificates have been issued manually. And now there's a lot of questions about real certificates and fake certificates and this and that. Whereas India cracked the problem right from day one by adopting a digital vaccination certificate right from the first day that vaccination began in India about in maybe December, January of this year. So that's a great example. And it also has demonstrated to people the power of digital technology in health, because every one of those 500 million certificates reaching a person, and you can download it in 2 minutes, has shown how people get the benefit of digital scale. Now, another important thing is we have to design a system which is interoperable. For example, when we designed Aadhar system, Aadhar could be used in any application. It could be used for a KYC to open a bank account, KYC to open a mobile connection. It could be used to authenticate when you withdraw money in a village and so on. And therefore, designing it for interoperability is very important, which also means that one of the requirements in the healthcare sector is the requirement to have interoperable and portable health records and being able to move health records from a person can take his health record from one location to another. And one way to think about it is that actually the digital vaccination certificate is a health record. It's a record that records an event in your life, which is a vaccination. But the same model could be used for testing. For example, when you do an RT-PCR test, you could use the same architecture of QR codes and verification to make sure that it's a genuine certificate or record of your RT-PCR test. And that again is portable anywhere. So once you think of the electronic health record of a person to be of this nature, it becomes nothing but a concatenation of various such electronic elements, all of which can be individually verified. It could be a test done in a lab, it could be a doctor's opinion, it could be a vaccination, it could be an ECG. All of them can really be strung together in this health record. And India has another very important architecture called DEPA, which is the Data Empowerment and Protection Architecture, which allows people to take charge of their own data. And that is now in the first stage being implemented in the financial sector, where a small bank or a small business can use its invoice details and its tax details, share that with the bank and get a loan. And the same architecture can be used in the healthcare, where I can use the records I can use my own healthcare records. For example, if I have a set of records which include some diagnostic details, some opinion of one doctor, and I want to go to a second opinion, I can easily transport that digital records and show it to my new doctor to get a second opinion. And therefore, this portability of electronic health records is unique, and that's something that India can do very well. One of the lessons we learned in Aadhar was that an effort like this has to be a national effort. It is not just government, it is not just the citizen, it's not just the companies or the entities. Everybody has to play a role in this. So when we designed Aadhar, we did a lot of work in building a nationwide consensus by reaching out to all the state governments, the municipalities, the central government, of course, by talking to all the banks, the RBI, talking to the fertilizer companies, the oil companies. Everybody was made a part of this. And therefore, this major initiative that India is taking up to create a digitally transformed health system will require massive coordination and consultation so that everybody is carried. And recognizing that the provision of healthcare could happen through government or the private sector or the non-profit sector. So it's entirely possible that a particular healthcare delivery is in the government. It's entirely possible that it's part of a chain of private hospitals, or it could be an NGO which is running the hospital as non-profit. So the architecture of this healthcare digital system should be agnostic to the delivery mechanism of what type of organization is doing it, but with complete interoperability, so that I can, seek some of my help from one hospital of one type and take it later to another hospital of any type. Similarly, you should be able to go up the chain from primary healthcare center to secondary hospitals to tertiary hospitals. I should be able to move my data back and forth when I'm going in for some kind of a treatment and so on. A good example of that in COVID is that you don't need to go to the same place for your first and second vaccination, which is actually very useful for people because they would take their first vaccination in one city, and then 84 days later, if they were somewhere else, they could just take the second vaccination in the second city, and the system would match it and give you your final certificate. So mobility and portability is very important if you want to give 1 billion people this kind of support. The other thing is that once you have a digital backbone to all this, it's going to create a lot of data. And we have to make sure that the privacy is ensured, that the privacy of every patient and his medical records is ensured. So architecting it to make sure that people are able to keep the privacy of the data is very, very important. And health in particular is a very, very private subject where we don't want other people to know our health conditions. And therefore, we need to make sure privacy is very important. At the same time, another important thing is cybersecurity. Today, all over the world, we are seeing very sophisticated attacks on computer systems coming from different kinds of state and non-state actors. And every day there's a report of credit card details being out there, or ID details being out there, or health records being out there, and so on. And therefore, if 1 billion people are going to have digital health records all somewhere in this ecosystem, it's very important that we have a very, very robust security system to deal with that and make sure that it is protected from attack, because this will become a natural point of attack for anyone who wants to bring down our health system. At the same time, the data which is generated, provided it is not personalized, can be anonymized and used at scale, and can be used for a wide variety of epidemiological and other studies. For example, the spread of COVID is an example where big data can tell us where it's picking up, where it's coming down, where R0 is going up, and so on. And therefore, I think that's a very important part of using data. But the other aspect of this data, which is at scale and anonymized, is the fact that you can apply AI and machine learning to this data. And that means that you can use that to provide some kind of predictive diagnostics and many, many other things using AI. And here we must not think of AI as substituting the medical practitioner. it is amplifying the medical practitioner. So in other words, you have a doctor who using AI can provide even better capabilities because of the value that the AI brings to the data that is already there and helps in diagnostics and many other things. It's also important that the design of this be designed in a very inclusive manner. First of all, we must make into account that people are in different economic strata. Some people have smartphones, maybe 300 million people have smartphones, and they can easily be serviced on the smartphone. But another 300 million people have feature phones. So we have to make sure that they also get equally good service on the feature phones. And maybe another 300 million people have no phones. And how do you get them the service? And therefore, you have both assisted service where you get your service on your phone, self-service, which you get on your phone, or assisted service where you go to a practitioner or somebody or to a PHC and they provide you the service on their device, even though you don't have a device. So being inclusive so that everybody, rich and poor, are participating is very, very important. And therefore, having both a self-service model and an assisted service model is very important. We also have to keep in mind the wide language diversity of India with so many people. Like, for example, in the Aadhar project, every card was printed both in English and Hindi or English and Tamil, and all that was automated by the system because we're generating 1.5 million new IDs per day. So language diversity, and then of course the level of educational knowledge also will vary, and we have to make sure that it's not just for literate people, but people are not that literate. So I think the incredible diversity of India must be taken into account in everything that we do. But I think it's important to realize that if anyone can pull this off, it is in India. In the last 10 years, India has applied technology, digital technology at population scale to a wide variety of challenges. And this whole class of applications is called as digital public goods, where just like we believe that countries should have roads and highways and ports and airports, you also need to have the digital rails on which the country can move. And identity was one of them. UPI, the payment platform, which is now doing 3 billion transactions a day, was another example. The direct benefit transfer system, which directly put money into people's bank accounts, which was very useful during the pandemic, was a third example. The National Language Translation Mission, which will provide interlanguage translation, speech to text, machine translation. All that is very, very important. We have the GST system, which provides a single tax system, direct tax system for the country. We have the FASTag system, again designed by the Ministry of Road Transport and NPCI, which allows you to travel on India's highways and without stopping, deduct the payment for the toll. So, India has got tremendous COVID, of course, we talked about 500 billion vaccinations. So India has got tremendous examples of building population scale digital infrastructure. And what is important is part of this infrastructure is provided by the government, but innovation happens on top of that. So it's not about, it's being able to have fundamental digital infrastructure, which is applicable to all, and then letting innovation either through providers or, anybody can innovate on top of it. But the platform raises the level at which the interactions will happen. So I think India is well placed to provide a digital national health infrastructure. And particularly the timing is right now as we come out of COVID, as we learn to grasp the enormity of our health challenges and the need to have a highly scalable, highly diverse societal thinking platform for digital health. And I'm convinced that it's going to happen because all of you are coming together. The government is coming together. The NHA has been given a clear mandate. And I'm sure the next few years are going to be very, very transformative for digital health. So with this, Joy, thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nilekani. I think your talk has given us such a nice feeling that the way India has experienced in last couple of decades, the change, the revolution in the digital economy, in the digital pathways, I think we are also in the right path and we are going towards that. And we are seeing all of these changes happening slowly and steadily. So I have one question before I take any audience question, if time permits. The question is, during this Aadhar implementation, the kind of data, kind of privacy issues, and all you have come across, and which are challenging. And today, I must say that when I have gone for vaccination or certificates, the only thing which came to my rescue is the Aadhar. Today, I can track everything from there. So similar kind of, what kind of thing you foresee can happen in terms of, we are also getting into the national digital health platform. So what kind of challenges we may come across?
Well, I think all these challenges are there. I think privacy is a huge requirement in health because I want my health records to be private. When we put all our digital technology on the cloud, then we have to be very careful about cybersecurity. Most important is interoperability. I mean, if I come to somebody and get a test or a diagnostic, I go to somebody else, I should be able to quickly show them this test so that they can take it from there. Because similarly, I mean, there are many, many challenges, but the good news is that most of these challenges have been dealt with in other sectors. And I think the last 3-4 years, the dramatic improvements in AI with machine learning and deep learning has made things possible that we could not think about 5 years back. So I think the timing is just right, John.
Thank you very much. One of the things according to you suggest healthcare sector to adopt and follow to achieve that?
Well, I think this is a process that for complete 100% adoption across everybody will take 5 to 10 years. It's not going to be so quickly. And the coordination is very important because there are parts of this that can be left to individual initiative. There are parts of this that can be left to private enterprise. But the basic railroad of this, the connection, the interoperability, the portability, the ability to move my records from one place to another place, the security, those are all standardized. So the trick is for the industry, for the government, and for individuals to somehow create a common platform of discussion and make sure that there are, that there is coordination. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty chaotic. So really, question is who are the set of leaders who will coordinate and make this happen?
So I got a question that who are the likely losers with the rollout of a national digital health infrastructure?
Well, I don't think there are any losers in the sense, you're going to dramatically make healthcare accessible to 1 billion people. You'll have a different ways of paying for that, either self-payment, insurance payment, government payment. So the financial lubrication of this will be far, far more effective, which is very important to get bills paid and so on. But I think because the electronic health records will be portable, then that means that you as a person, I can choose where to go. And therefore, to that extent, it increases the competitive intensity of the market. But that we should be prepared for because it's for a larger good.
So thank you very much for joining here today. And I'm sure that today, the way you have shared your vision before Aadhar and the way you are looking at the roadmap in future, maybe after 4 or 5 years, you can come back and see that how it has really shaped up in Indian healthcare. And we consider you like an icon for this complete digitization move and all. And I'm sure we'll get your support and guidance and your vision to make it further happen. So thanks a lot, Mr. Nilekani, for joining here in this CAHOTECH in this 6th edition and giving your keynote address. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, Joy. Take care.